Hello, hi, good afternoon, all of you. Can you guys hear me? Hi, hello, Dhruti. Hi, Shita. Okay, you guys can hear me, see me? Okay. Whoever is able to hear me and see me, just raise your hands and keep it raised. So I've got Dhruti, Ishita, and Sid. Okay, Sanskriti is also joined in. Hmm. So we're just waiting for Ansh, Mayas, and Tarannum. Right, excellent. Okay, in the meantime, by the time they join in, I just wanted to understand where you guys are at. Dhruti, I'm just unmuting you, yeah? And I'll just keep
Yes,
your
ma'am.
hands down. If anybody else also has anything to add in, you can raise your hand. I'll just unmute you. So I just wanted to know, is your class like, are you divided into different sections, or is everybody taking in like a common class for all of grade 11 in your school?
No, I don't know how the sections are divided, but I think all of us are doing the same thing only, and we are
Okay,
all at par only with each other. And we
okay,
finished intramolecular and intermolecular forces. I mean, just
okay,
explanation, but
okay.
London forces and dipole forces and all that is left.
Oh, all that is
So we've
left.
just
Okay.
basically started with states of matter.
Oh, you just started. All right. What else did you guys do in school, Iske pehle? I remember
Nothing.
last time we met, you mentioned that there was, you guys were discussing safety procedures in the laboratory and all of
Yeah,
that, right?
for practicals, what all we have to remain safe with, and what we have to do and not do, do's and don'ts. Have a lab coat and glasses and all that.
Acha, acha. Okay. So after that, they just started.
Yeah.
Mayas and Sanskriti, I think, have wanted to add something. So Mayas, you are unmuted. Yes, tell me. Hello. Mayas,
Yes,
not
ma'am.
sure. Yeah, tell me.
Ma'am, I'm in 11B and we have also started with the same chapter.
Mm-hmm.
We have done van der Waals forces. We have also done hydrogen bond. We have done the three laws: Avogadro's law,
Oh,
Charles' law, and Boyle's law.
acha. Okay,
And
matlab different sections are going at different speeds, that means.
hmm, we have also compressibility factor. We have also done,
Acha, wow,
and
itna
Gale
okay.
Lucas law also, ma'am, has made us.
So basically, you're the ideal gas equation. Like, have you guys done that also, or just Boyle's law, Charles' law, and
Yes,
Gay-Lussac's
ma'am, we
law?
have done it.
You've
Yes,
done
ma'am.
ideal gas also. Oh, okay. All right. So like almost
We have done
half is
ideal
done.
gas.
Hmm.
Ma'am said she will start with numericals in the next class.
Okay. All right. Sanskriti also has her hand raised. Yes, Sanskriti.
Yes, ma'am. I'm in 11E, but then the classes for 11B and 11E for physics and chemistry are the same. So I'm in the
Oh,
same level as Mayus. But then,
okay.
like apart from that, today we also did the derivation of uh, two other formulas also, the Dalton's law of partial pressure, and then
Okay.
density and molar mass of a gaseous substance.
Okay. Density,
And
molar mass. Oh.
yeah,
Hmm.
we completed real gas equation as well.
Oh. So
Yeah.
almost like I'd say about 80% of the chapter is done then, 80-90%. Are
Yes,
they taking
exactly.
viscosity and all of that?
No, viscosity, that all hasn't started yet. Actually, today, ma'am,
Liquefaction.
there is an assignment today based on like what all has been taught till now, and
Mhm.
tomorrow she'll be discussing that as well.
Numerical.
Yes.
Okay, okay. All right. Cool. Cool. Thank you guys. I just wanted to get an idea where you guys are at in school. So based on that, we can, if something is easy, we can quickly move forwards, and if something is not done, we can go slower over there. All right. Okay, so most of you have done van der Waals forces. For some of you, like some sections, I think the gas laws are about to, like, they're not yet started. They'll start soon, right? How many of you have understood what dipole moment is? What polarity
It's
of
3
a
o'clock.
molecule means? Just
Miss, we have
yeah.
not started it.
Oh, you're not started it. Okay. All right. And those who have done it, dipole moment ka meaning kya hai? All of that, like, were you guys able to follow? Just show of hands. Raise your hand. Mainly, dipole moment kya hota hai? Yeah, polar molecules, like all of that concept.
What
Okay.
polar and non-polar molecules are?
Sorry, part of it got muted. So did you say, do you know what polar, non-polar molecules are?
Yes,
Or did
yes.
you say you didn't understand?
Yeah, I said
Okay.
I know what polar and non-polar.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. Some of you know, some of you don't know it. Okay. We'll do that. Okay. So before we start off the chapter, the what are states of matter, wo to previous class में भी discuss किया, and you guys have done it in a lot of previous chapters also. What is the meaning of solid, liquid, gas? We've discussed how they differ from each other. It's all in the intermolecular, how the molecules or particles are arranged, be it atoms or molecules, right? Now, what decides their arrangement? Like, what decides कि intermolecular forces ज़्यादा होना चाहिए कि कम होना चाहिए? किसमें ज़्यादा हो सकता है, किसमें कम हो सकता है? Like, we get into it at a slightly deeper level in this particular chapter. Okay. So before we get there, there are a few terms that you're going to come across, and I just want to ensure that you know what they are and you understand what they are. If not, we'll quickly brush up on them. Okay. So what do you mean by electronegativity? Okay. Who all know what electronegativity is? Just raise your hand. Okay. Ansh, Dhriti, Ishita, Mayas, Sanskriti know what it is. Keravi also knows what it is. Sid and Tarannum also has raised her hand. Sid, you not familiar with electronegativity? Okay, सबको पता है ना? All right. Quickly, in like very few words, Keravi, I'm just unmuting you. Is your mic working? Ansh has given the answer here. Kind of word में थोड़ा सा different है. Sid is asking, can you give a definition? Okay, I think Keravi's mic is not working. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Ishita, I'm just unmuting you. Can you quickly explain what electronegativity means?
Okay, ma'am. Electronegativity basically means that a particle is negatively charged, and usually that happens when there is the presence of a positively charged particle.
Not necessarily. Okay. So
Yes, ma'am. I
you
said
have
usually.
usually, yeah, kind of. So you observe it in particles, or rather atoms, that gain negative charge, that gain an electron to become an anion. But electronegativity, yes, Keravi and Sanskriti have given the correct definition. So it's the tendency of an atom to attract electrons towards itself. Yeah. So Ansh has mentioned ability of an atom to gain electrons. No, not necessarily gain. Like, it doesn't have to pull it and take it to itself. As long as, it attracts electrons towards itself without really taking it into its orbit, that is, like that you define as electronegativity. Highly electronegative matlab something that can just pull electrons towards itself. Less electronegative matlab doesn't really care, like, okay, electrons hai wahan pe, let it be, I'm not gonna like pull them completely. Okay. Yes, Dhriti is given an example like in HCl, even water for that matter. So do you guys know पूरा periodic table में सबसे ज्यादा electronegativity किसमें होता है? No? Yes, Tarunam, correct. So fluorine has the highest electronegativity, and it's not exactly a quantity, it's the measurement of a tendency. So you compare like fluorine ka highest hai, matlab like you give fluorine a rating of 4, which is the highest, and you compare fluorine se leke all the other elements. Okay. Yeah. Yes, correct, Ishita. It's a tendency of atom to pull electrons. Yeah. Anion is the one that just gains an electron and has a negative charge. Cool. Ishita, Sanskriti, Karavi, awesome. Sid, is it clarified? You'd asked for the definition now. So basically, electronegativity is the tendency to pull electrons. So this tendency to pull electrons can depend on a lot of factors. Mainly, size of the atom is a major factor, and besides that, also depends on like electron repulsions come into picture. Like a lot of other things also come into picture, but mainly size of the atom, and how much positive charge it has in the nucleus. All right. So something you studied when doing the periodic table. Okay. Okay. Next comes the whole concept of polarity. Like, have you heard of this word called dipole moment of a molecule? What a dipole is, or what do you mean by a dipole moment? Diti is saying no. I'm guessing the people like the sections who have already done this concept should be more familiar with it. Okay, Dhriti knows what is a dipole. Ansh has heard of it but not understood. Okay, Ishita is saying yes, two opposite polar charges. Kind of. Okay, all right. So dipole is basically, uh, how magnet may you define something called as poles, like North Pole, South Pole, all of that. So similarly, dipole moment also, like in a, yes, Keravi has put it very well. So in a single molecule, or it could be an atom also, like basically in a particle, if you have separation of positive and negative charge. Okay, yes, Taranam has mentioned further. So when charges in an atom or molecule get redistributed. So let me show you what it's like. Okay, so basically if you get into the structure of atom, so atom nucleus hota hai, or around it electrons don't like, the image that you see here is a wrong depiction. Like electrons don't revolve like planets do. It's more of something like this, where you have a nucleus and then the electrons are distributed in something called as electron cloud. Okay. So electron cloud is basically, it's just like, it's like a cloud itself. It's a negatively charged distribution that you have. Okay. So now around the nucleus, all of this is negatively charged. And when you have two atoms in a covalent bond, the more electronegative atom, like electronegative ka definition, meaning tendency to attract electrons. So the atom that has more electronegativity is going to pull on this cloud. So what basically happens is, you're not going to have equal distribution of spheres. Oh, this is a perfect representation. So if you look at this image, in the case of ions, you have perfect distribution of charges. Like pura positive charge is on one side, negative charge is on one side, and there is electrostatic forces of attraction. And agar same atom bond hue, as you can see here, like two chlorine atoms, both of them have the tendency to pull the electrons with equal force. So the pura electron cloud is also equally distributed. Okay, you can see it's roughly two spherical blobs that are merging with each other. But when you have a more electronegative atom and a less electronegative atom bonding with each other, the more electronegative atom is going to pull on the electron pair towards itself. So it's not a complete shift of charges like you see in ionic bond, it's a partial shift of charges. So because of this partial shift of charges, the whole molecule is going to get two poles. So there is something called charge separation. There is separation of charges between the two molecules. It's not a complete separation, but you know that chlorine side is slightly negative because it's pulling a lot more on the electrons as compared to the hydrogen side. So this partial charges are represented by delta negative and delta positive. Okay. So such a molecule where there is, separation of charges is called a polar molecule. Okay, so this particular kind of bond is called a polar covalent bond. Dhriti is asking non-polar matlab equally share electrons in a covalent bond. Absolutely. So they share the electrons equally because they're pulling on both this thing equally. Ishita is asking, so aren't there any orbits or shells? It's an electron cloud. There are orbits or shells. It's just not, a single line. So whatever you see as the electron cloud is that particular energy level. Okay. So orbit or shell, like, both can be used in place of each other. So each shell is basically each electron cloud, like, the set of all, if the second shell consists of 8 electrons, the set of all the 8 electron clouds that are surrounding the nucleus is the second shell. So it's not a defined pathway, it's more of a distribution around in that particular spherical area. So we'll get into more of this when we do the chapter structure of the atom. Like that's what that whole chapter deals with. Like what exactly is the structure of atom? How are the electrons spinning around and all of that? Okay. So yeah. So coming to polarity, polarity is basically having separation of charges. If I had to put it simply, or वो separation of charges क्यों आ रहा है? That is caused because of the difference in electronegativity. So अगर एक atom ज़्यादा electronegative है, it's going to pull on the charges a lot more. ठीक है? Dhriti is asking what is the exact definition of polar and non-polar molecules. So you can say polar molecules are the molecules that contain a charge separation due to difference in electronegativity. Due to difference in electronegativity of the bonding atoms, and non-polar molecules are basically molecules that do not have any charge separation as such. Okay, so from this, okay, you want me to go a little slow? Sure. Okay. All right. Dhriti, yeah, before you take this as a final thing, I just want to touch on one more thing. So now you guys have got the difference between polar and non-polar. Like, what do you mean by polarity, and what is the difference between polar and non-polar molecules? अगर समझ में आ गया? Okay. Okay. Now let's get into this other term called a dipole. Now polar molecule इसलिए बोल रहे हैं because they've got two poles, two opposite poles. Just like how a magnet has a north pole, south pole, a polar molecule has like a positive side and the negative side. Okay, so because it has like a pole couple, oppositely charged pole ka couple, you call it a dipole. It has two poles, इसलिए it's called a dipole. And each dipole, now if you take positive charge की वजह से, so okay, so if you bring another pole near this HCl molecule, so let me get out of this and show you just the HCl molecule. Okay, so we've got this dipole here, right? Now Ishita is asking, the size of Cl is bigger. Is it because it pulls the electron clouds towards itself? Partly. Also, if you remember, Cl has got how many electron shells? Like if you go back and remember the electronic configuration of chlorine, what is the electronic configuration of chlorine? Yes, it is 17. So electronic configuration, yes Diti, so it's 287. मतलब उसके पास 3 shells है ना, और हाइड्रोजन के पास एक ही शेल है, 1 हाइड्रोजन का एटॉमिक नंबर 1, मतलब एक ही शेल है. So 1 shells versus 3 shells, the size is going to be bigger ना. Arohi is asking, can one electron cloud engulf another? Arohi, you're thinking of amoeba. So these are not amoeba. फिर electron electron के बीच में भी अगर दो negative charge, if you get them together, there's going to be repulsions, right? So that is going to maintain certain distance between H and Cl. It's just the electron cloud that is slightly distorted. And again, they are bonded, like you have a covalent bond between the two atoms. So they are bonded together, and the electron cloud is going to be distributed over both H and Cl. It's just not going to be an equal distribution. It is tilting slightly towards chlorine ka side. Or the like jo bhi more electronegative hai, it's going to tilt slightly towards that particular atom. Okay. All right. So now we have this HCl ka dipole. If I get a positive charge on this side, so what is the H going to do and what is the Cl going to do? I'm just getting a little bored here. So I'm just going to unmute one of you and give me the answer. Okay. Okay. Who? Sanskriti. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. So Sanskriti, if I bring in another positive charge over here, okay. So
Yes,
positive charge can be another positive ion, ya jo bhi hai.
Hmm.
Now, what is Cl going to do? Is it going to attract or repel?
Because Cl is highly electronegative, it is going to attract and it will induce its polarity.
हाँ, वो तो ठीक है. Like that is if I get a proper particle. So basically Cl is going to attract a positive charge, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what about hydrogen atom? If I get another positive charge near it, is it going to attract or repel?
Repel, it will repel because hydrogen is also slightly positive, and if you bring another positive atom near it, it will obviously repel.
HCl में H is going to repel, chlorine is going to attract, which means
Yes.
that the direction of that particular force, okay? So if I place it somewhere over here, somewhere between H and Cl, the direction of the force acting on, that random particle, is it going to be towards H or towards Cl, or is it going to be zero? Towards Cl, right?
Yes.
Like if I put it here, H is
Yes,
going to repel, matlab it's coming,
and
going
Cl
this side
will attract, so it will be towards Cl.
towards Cl, right? So basically, this whole molecule, overall molecule की वजह से, we have a sort of a force that is attracting or that is acting in a particular direction. So that's what is represented in this arrow over here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this particular arrow mark that you find over molecules represents the direction in which the electron cloud is pulled.
Yeah. Yes.
So this particular arrow is denotes something called a dipole moment.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, because of the difference in electronegativity, now because all polar molecules will have something called a non-zero dipole moment. Okay.
Yes.
Now I want to consider another case. So this is the case of HCl. Now look at a CCl4 molecule. All right. Huh. Now, okay, CCl4 is going to be polar or non-polar? Answer. Carbon tetrachloride is going to be polar or non-polar molecule. Dhriti and Ishita have answered polar. Kervi is also saying polar. Myers is also saying polar. Okay, do a raise of hand. This is going to be much more easier. Whoever think it is polar, raise your hand. Whoever think it's non-polar, like keep your hand down. Don't raise your hand. उससे आ जाएगा count. Dhriti, Ishita, Kervi, Myers, Sanskriti and Sid think it's polar. Ansh, Arohi and Tarannum think it's non-polar. Okay. All right, Ansh. Yes. So Ansh, why are you saying it's non-polar? Yes. Ansh, are you there?
I got disconnected. My lights went out in the house, so I didn't hear the question only.
Okay. So if you can see the screen right now, we have a molecule of carbon tetrachloride, CCl4 here. And I asked whoever thinks CCl4 is a polar molecule, raise your hand. And whoever thinks it's a non-polar molecule, don't raise your hand. So Ansh, what do you think? Okay, so Ansh,
I think it's non-polar only because it's a molecule.
Okay. See, polarity is when there is difference in electronegativity, and इसलिए the electrons are slightly shifted towards one particular atom, और इसलिए you have like partial charges being created, right? So CCl4 के case में, do you think it is polar or non-polar? See, HCl also एक molecule है, but that turned out to be a polar molecule. Similarly, water is also a polar molecule. Okay, Arohi and Tarannum, you guys have also not raised your hands. All right, Arohi, yeah, why do you think it's non-polar?
Because all the particles are equally distributed.
Awesome, excellent, very good. So don't say particles. So the dipole moment that you have here, like carbon or chlorine के बीच में, Ishita, your hunch, I mean, like a lot of you who answered polar, your direction, like the direction of your thinking is correct. Carbon or chlorine के बीच में, of course, there's going to be partial charges. But ये molecule, like, is this symmetrical or not symmetrical? So one central atom being surrounded by 4 other atoms. So meaning, okay. So symmetry matlab, like no matter which direction you turn it in, it should like basically look the same. Or let me take a simpler example. If not CCl4, let's look at CO2. Okay, carbon or oxygen के बीच में. Now, would you say this is a symmetrical molecule? ये CO वाला बॉन्ड एंड ये CO वाला बॉन्ड ऑपोजिट साइड्स में है, राइट? अभी the whatever, okay, now carbon or oxygen is way more electronegative, so obviously there's going to be like this oxygen is going to pull towards electrons, this oxygen is also going to pull towards electrons. Okay, now what can you say about the dipole moment between this CO and between this CO, like left side oxygen or right side oxygen, दोनों का डाइपोल मोमेंट, व्हाट कैन यू से अबाउट दैट? Ishita has answered. She says same. Do you guys agree? Do you think it's same या कुछ अलग है? Did not understand. Okay. Mayas, yes, dipole moment will be from C2O. Correct. क्योंकि ऑक्सीजन इलेक्ट्रोनेगेटिव है, तो it's going to be from C2O. Now the force, like the dipole moment that is produced between carbon and the left side oxygen and the dipole moment produced between carbon and the right side oxygen, what can you say about that? So Ishita and Mayas both are saying it's the same. What about the rest of you? Do you think it's same? Yeah, different. Keravi is also saying it's equal. Okay, Arohi is also saying, Sanskriti is also saying, Sid is also saying, Dhriti is also saying. Okay, cool. So now you guys have gotten the hang of it. Like abhi oxygen, matlab ek oxygen atom, दूसरा oxygen atom, they're going to be the same, right? Which means that एक oxygen atom से जितना भी electronegativity आ रहा है, the other oxygen will also pull with the same force. So the dipole moment between carbon and left side wala oxygen and carbon and right side wala oxygen is going to be equal. If both the dipole moments, if both the forces are acting equal and opposite direction, तो overall net force क्या बन जाएगा? You guys have studied vectors ना? तो एक वेक्टर इस तरफ काम कर रहा है, एक वेक्टर इस तरफ काम कर रहा है, तो net force क्या होगा? Awesome, very good. So it's going to be 0. Overall dipole moment overall अगर 0 है, then what can you say about this molecule as a whole? Polar बनेगा कि non polar बनेगा? Yes. Sanskriti, Tarannum, Sid, Dhriti, yes, absolutely. So the molecule as a whole, like even though each individual bond is polar, the molecule as a whole is going to be a non-polar molecule. Okay. So this is like a rule of thumb that अगर दो अलग-अलग atoms से you have a covalent bond. So ionic bond है तो polarity का question ही नहीं है. Like both of them are completely different charges and they are going to behave like highly like a polar molecule. Like पानी में डालने में you're not just going to get like polarity there. They are going to dissociate into ions only. Now coming to covalent bonds, if the covalent bond is between two different atoms, then the bond is absolutely going to be a polar bond because there is always a difference in electronegativity between two different atoms. Agar same element ke beech mein, if it's a bond, then that is going to be non-polar because both of them pull with the same force. Now within a molecule, just like carbon dioxide, just like methane even, so wherever you have a symmetry, okay, so wherever there is symmetry, like dipole moment is nothing but a vector, right? Like it has a particular direction in which it is acting. So if it is all completely symmetrical, like triangular hai, in this case, if the angle between them is 180 degrees, in that case also the overall molecule is going to act like a non-polar molecule. So the individual bonds may be polar, but they all cancel each other out, and hence it ends up being a non-polar molecule. ठीक है, got it? So yes, Ishita, so CCl4 is non-polar. The reason is that, let me get back to CCl4 here. Yeah, so you can see it here. Oh, this is a really tiny image. Where do I have the forces? So CCl4, this is a good image. So you can see abhi the net force between the niche wala 3 chlorine atoms is going to be directly below the top chlorine atom. Like if you look at the net force, like the net of these 3 vectors, all 3 of them are directed downward and all of them are at equal angles to each other. So the net is going to be equal in magnitude but straight below. Aisa hai. And the fourth bond, like this particular dipole moment, is straight above. So because of symmetry, they all cancel each other out, and CCl4 overall is non-polar. Okay. And Mayas is asking, then H2O is also non-polar. Now CO2 का structure ऐसा है कि both the oxygen atoms are like straight at 180 degrees from each other. But in the case of H2O, in the case of water, the molecule is bent, has a bent shape. The reason why it is bent is because oxygen has a lone pair of electrons. Okay, so you can see here, oxygen के पास 6 electrons है, and 7 and 8 it's getting from these 2 hydrogens. Now these 2 lone pairs are going to be on one side and hydrogen are going to be on the other side. Now it's not completely symmetrical, right? ये दोनों positive charge, this dipole moment is like this and this dipole moment is like this. So overall vector is going to be in between them. तो इस direction में है dipole moment. Okay. Dhriti, you're asking for balance. I didn't get it. I've unmuted you, Dhriti. Yes, tell me.
What I mean is that because the 2 lone pairs are on one side, that is why both the hydrogen atoms will be on the other side to maintain a balance, right?
Sort of, yeah. Balance matlab, okay, so that's again, that goes into minimizing the electron repulsions. So that's also a completely, so just before states of matter, you have a whole chapter on chemical bonding, discussing about why the molecule shapes are so and so, like all of these different factors of minimizing the repulsions and all these factors that you need to consider. One is, for stability, you need maximum symmetry. And second is, within that symmetry also, like you can say, if one lone pair is upper and another lone pair is niche, isn't that stable? But along with the symmetry, you also need to minimize the repulsions between the electron pairs. So all of those factors together, which is why water molecule is arranged like this. Yeah.
Miss, will you be sharing the notes for the for how much we have done today?
Yes, I'll do that. Okay, I'll share the chapter. So all of this basically happens, like all of this is discussed in your previous chapters. Like I think, I'm guessing if you had your regular school, you'd have started with structure of the atom and chemical bonding, and then you'd have gone to states of matter and all the other chapters. But I think since the classes are online, they're taking up the easier chapters where you don't need a lot of demonstration first, and that's where they've taken up states of matter. Okay, so that's the reason, before getting into this, I wanted to start off discussing about these concepts, because when we talk about van der Waals forces, dipole forces, even hydrogen bonding, having an understanding of where this charge separation is coming from, what exactly are dipoles, like once you get the hang of it, it gets easier to take all of this in. इसलिए ठीक है, so I can share the notes for this. Yeah. Okay, so Sid is asking what about organic products? So organic products may be like every single covalent molecule you come across, two things to consider. So one is, are the bonds between the two molecules same or different? Sorry, are the two atoms that are bonded same or different? अगर कार्बन कार्बन के बीच में बॉन्ड है तो there's not going to be any dipole moment. लेकिन कार्बन हाइड्रोजन two different atoms है ना, तो फिर you're going to get a dipole moment. And the second thing to consider is पूरा symmetrical है या नहीं है. Like wherever you get a lone pair of electrons, it's not going to be symmetrical. And wherever you're not getting any lone pair of electrons, like methane, for example, carbon tetrachloride. So all of this is symmetrical. So most of the organic compounds are symmetrical. All the alkanes are symmetrical, that's for sure. But within organic molecules also, like suppose you get a molecule like chloroform. So I'll show you the structure of chloroform. Chloroform symmetry 9 structure. So if you look at chloroform ka structure, chloroform ka formula is CHCl3. So it's 1 carbon and 3 chlorines and 1 hydrogen. Abhi the bonds between these three, like CCl, 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 are going to be the equal dipole moment. Matlab the net of all of these three forces, they are all going to be in the same direction. So overall is going to be नीचे. So C और Cl के बीच में dipole moment is नीचे, but ऊपर क्या है? You have a dipole moment between C and H. Abhi the electronegativity of Cl and hydrogen both are going to be different from each other. Matlab CCl is going to be more than C and H. So in this case, CHCl3 is going to be a polar molecule. It is not non-polar. But if you have CCl4, जहाँ पे all the 4 bonds are equal to each other, that is going to end up non-polar because नीचे भी CCl है, ऊपर भी CCl है, so they cancel out from each other. Okay. So Ishita is saying, so that's why it can form hydronium ion and CO2. And CCl4 cannot form ion because H2 is polar and these two are non-polar. Yes, correct. So that's why like polarity say you'll get a lot of properties, how they react, like what sort of reactions would it prefer undergoing, whether it's going to be soluble in water or not. But that we are going to take it up later. Okay. Aro is asking, is ammonium chloride polar or non-polar? That's going to be a polar molecule. In fact, it's an ionic compound. So उसमें polarity का question ही नहीं है. So whenever you mix ammonium chloride in water, you're going to get ammonium ion and chloride ion. Okay. Anyway, are you guys clear about the concept of polarity and what is a dipole moment and what do you mean by the word dipole? Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. Aro is asking, ammonium chloride has covalent bond. Well, the ammonium ion has a covalent bond, like ammonium is NH4 plus है ना, and in that also like N and the 4 H's are going to be a symmetrical shape. So overall polarity is going to be 0, but पूरा ammonium के ऊपर positive charge है, so which is why it's an ammonium ion. Okay. All right. Keravi and Sid, do you guys have any doubts? I can see that your hands are up. No? Okay. All right. Cool. So this is like the basic thing. Like this is like so dipole moment is a whole section, a different chapter. I just wanted to give a crash course on it. So minimum basic agar samajh mein aa gaya, like once you're familiar with the terms, that should be good. Like dipole moment matlab immediately you need to get in your head that, oh yeah, covalent molecule, and there is some sort of a charge separation. You need to know that. And where does it come from? It comes because of the difference in electronegativity. And the third is we discussed like how electrons exist in an atom. That's basically an electron cloud. The shape of the electron cloud and all, we don't need to worry. We just need to know that electron ek jagah hi nahi hai. So it's a whole cloud distribution around the nucleus. So atom is spherical. It's not that, you know, line wala shape that you see in pop culture. It's like a spherical cotton ball type. Okay, so now coming back to states of matter. So we've got solid, liquid, gas. I'm going to quickly skip over the properties of solid, liquid, gas because this is something you guys are familiar with. If at all any of you want to discuss it, just raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to skip over it. Okay. Just waiting for 3 more seconds. Nine? Okay, good. So let me just gonna skip over this. Now coming to what are intermolecular forces. Now the main difference between solid, liquid and gas. Actually, before we go forward, how many of you are comfortable switching on your webcam? Then it'll be a good discussion based thing now. If you want to join in as a panelist, just raise your hand and I'll switch on your webcam. I'll make you a panelist. Okay, only Ansh and Dhriti. All right, cool. Make panelist. Make panelist. And Maya's also. Maya's, your webcam's working now. Make panelist. Cool. All right, you guys are on board now. All right, so let's get into the fact of the matter. So now, where does the difference between solid, liquid and gas come from is your arrangement of atoms. And where does that arrangement of atoms differ? It's all because of the intermolecular forces. So ये पहले ही discuss किया था कि solids have maximum or minimum. Intermolecular forces in solids is? Yes, yes, Riti. Maximum, absolutely, awesome. And intermolecular force.
Yes. You'll be leaving me unmuted, so I'll mute myself, right?
Yeah. Okay. And intermolecular forces in gases is minimum. Now, why does that come? Like, why does that come into picture? Okay. And what are these intermolecular forces? Like, where does it come from? So intermolecular forces, also called van der Waals forces. So bachpan mein you guys must have heard of this thing called van der Waals forces. Like it's just mentioned as forces, but no one really elaborated on it, right? So what are van der Waals forces? So it's a set of forces that act between atoms or molecules, basically particles of a substance. So it can be attractive in nature or it can be repulsive in nature. Okay, so attractive forces, there are different types of forces. What are the different types? Because this is something that like you've done in school. Okay, Mayas, give him a chance. Yes, Mayas.
Ionic and covalent.
Ionic and covalent are chemical bonds. So intermolecular forces.
Acha, van der Waals forces can.
हाँ, van der Waals forces. What are
Dispersion,
the
dipole,
dispersion?
dipole induced dipole.
Yes, excellent. So these are like the three main things. So you've got London forces or dispersion forces. Now, London is not named after the city, it's named after a scientist. And then you have dipole-dipole forces and dipole-induced dipole forces. We'll take them up one by one. And which are the Sanskriti has also mentioned hydrogen bonding. Now, hydrogen bonding is like a special case under dipole-dipole forces. So dipole-dipole forces exist. Hydrogen bonding is like dipole-dipole forces on steroids. It's a special case of dipole-dipole forces. Okay. And yeah, so these are the attractive forces. Now, which are the repulsive forces that act between these between particles or molecules? Where does the repulsive forces come from? Anyone? नहीं है? एटम और एटम के बीच में अट्रैक्टिव फोर्सेस है अगर ऑपोजिट चार्जेस है तो रिपल्सिव फोर्सेस कहाँ से आएंगे?
Charges.
When the charges are the same.
सेम चार्जेस और
Like charges.
ओके, सो सेम चार्जेस कहाँ से आएंगे? सो बीच में न्यूक्लियस है और इलेक्ट्रॉन्स आर द वंस रिवॉल्विंग अराउंड द न्यूक्लियस. तो like will repulsion occur because of प्रोटॉन और प्रोटॉन के बीच में रिपल्शन और इलेक्ट्रॉन के बीच में रिपल्शन? Where does that come from? Same charges, yes, but if you can be a little more specific where the same charges. Arohi is given the correct answer. So,
Proton, electron.
Yes, Maya. So electron repulsion. So repulsion between the two electron clouds. So if this is an atom, this is an atom. So they're all constantly moving. And if they collide with each other, abhi the electron clouds are the one that's like coming close to each other, right? So that's going to have some repulsive forces between each other. So yeah, so the same charges specifically, it's between the electron clouds. So the electron cloud repulsion gives rise to intermolecular repulsive forces. Okay. So now coming to attractive forces, the first part is dispersion forces or London forces, as you guys have mentioned. So dispersion forces or London forces acts between all atoms or all non-polar molecules. Okay, so this is like universally present. So if you have some kind of matter, London forces are like the minimum denominator that's always present. Okay, so the atoms are particularly neutral. Like you will find London forces dominating between neutral atoms. Okay, Arohi is mentioning, could you please list out which intermolecular forces we have to study? So we will be dealing with
the first line you said about London forces.
Yes, I will. Okay, just give me 2 minutes. So Arohi, whatever we're discussing right now, London forces, dipole-dipole interactions, and dipole-induced dipole interactions, and hydrogen bonding. So these are the 4 things that we have to study. That's there in your syllabus. Repulsive forces, just know that it occurs because of repulsions between electron clouds, but we're not going to go deeper into that. There's nothing to go deeper into that as well. Okay. All right. So coming to the first one, dispersion forces or London forces. First point you need to know is that it occurs between atoms or non-polar molecules, which means that yes, Ishita, absolutely, it is between the noble gases. So if at all we are able to compress noble gases, it is possible only because they've got London forces, because they've got nothing else. They don't have dipoles, they don't have like hydrogen bondings and things like that. Halogens, of course, like if you have pure gases, not just halogens, but even things like O2, N2, all these are neutral molecules, right? So they don't have any polarity there. And yeah, so all they have is the London forces. So it occurs between atoms or non-polar molecules. And second point is that they're neutral, like dispersion forces dominate when there are no dipoles, non-polar molecules. But in the case of in the case of London forces also, there may be a temporary dipole that may develop. Okay, so how is that happening? So you've got, like, how is this an attractive force? Yes, Dhriti.
It's like when two molecules are, close together, and then there is an unequal electron distribution by some case. So then, because of that, the other molecule also gets the electronic configuration also gets disturbed, and that is why temporary dipole is created.
Exactly, correct. So this is not a permanent dipole like you have in HCl, H2, and all that. This is temporary one that only occurs when the molecules are close to each other. Okay, so as the, like electron cloud, matlab, it's not surrounded equally always. Electrons are zooming around the nucleus of the atom or the molecule. It is constantly moving. Now there may be an instant of time where the electrons are situated on one side of the atom, which gives rise to a tiny temporary dipole. Okay, so there's electron cloud on mostly on this side of the molecule. So you have negative charge here and positive charge over here. So in that case, now this partial charges, if you have another molecule coming close to it, it's going to induce, like यहाँ पे positive charge है, मतलब it's going to attract the electron cloud of the second molecule here, and this in turn gets a temporary dipole, unequal distribution of charges within the atom itself. And that is how the London forces act. So they're attractive in nature because they start inducing temporary dipoles within those atoms. Okay. The properties of London forces. London forces are always attractive in nature. They are never repulsive. The second is, so the magnitude of the force depends. What do you guys think? Does it depend directly on the distance between the particles or inversely? Yes,
Inversely.
Ansh? Yes, Tarannum Kher, we have already answered. Yes, it's going to be inverse. Matlab, as the distance increases, magnitude of the force is going to be practically negligible. And so, like the interaction energy is inversely proportional to r power 6. Okay, so if you see the notice the thing here it is. So the interaction energy is inversely proportional to, or it is proportional to, or you can write it as interaction energy equal to k into 1 by r power 6, where r is the distance between two particles. So you can imagine if it is, proportional inversely to 6th power of the distance, how tiny those forces must be, like the scale of those forces, right? So which is why, so the next point follows this, they're important only at extremely short distances. So short that, at almost like around 500 picometers. Yeah. Next, apart from that, the magnitude depends on the polarizability of the particle. Now, what do you mean by polarizability? Polarizability is basically how easy it is to bring about the temporary dipole in the molecule. Okay. So what do you guys think polarizability would depend on? Like, is it random, like each molecule will have its own polarizability, or do you think it would depend on something like size of the atom, or electronegativity or electropositivity?
Electronegativity properties. Because if something is more can I say?
Yeah.
If one molecule is more electronegative, then there are chances that the other molecule which is close to it will the electrons will get unequally distributed faster as compared to when it is less electronegative.
Yes. Awesome. So one, it is definitely dependent on electronegativity, and it is also dependent on size of the molecule. Okay. Ishita is asking size or electronegativity or the ionization potential. Yeah. Ionization potential, I am not sure of. It's not like a direct relation, but definitely size of the molecule plays a part in deciding the polarity of the molecule. This time I want either Ansh or Myers to think and answer. How do you think size plays a picture in deciding the polarizability? We'll just give them a chance and then come to you, Dhriti.
Ma'am, the larger the size, the easier it is to lose the electron. Or
Lose, yes, but here we are talking about polarizability, na? You're close. Like, think of it on those lines. So instead of losing the electrons as a whole, you want the electrons to like congregate on one side
okay,
or
then the
be like
electrons
easily pulled.
easily come towards it. Yes.
Yes. See, absolutely. So larger the size, the hold of the nucleus is not as much on the outermost, like the valence electrons, which means that it is easy for a different temporary dipole to attract the electron cloud towards one side. If it is small, then like hold of the nucleus is a lot, so it's going to be a little more difficult in that case. Okay. Aro is asking, could you please define polarizability? Simple. So polarizability is the it's basically how easy it is to induce poles on an atom. Now, these definitions are not important, you guys. Like, you don't have to note them word by word. It is more for your understanding, because we're going to come across terms like this randomly in a property and all of that. So you just need to know the meaning, or have the understanding of the word. But word to word definition,
Yeah,
you
I
don't
don't
have
want the
to
word
answer.
to word definition, but it's a new word, so I don't think I'll remember it after some time. So can you
Okay,
repeat it?
sure. So polarizability is basically how easy it is to induce poles in an atom or a molecule, in a particle, basically. Okay. All right. So I'll just give you guys like a few seconds. I think you're noting this thing down. So once you're done with this, we'll move on to the next part. Oh yeah, so there's a visual also here if you want to see. So if you have individual atoms, atom A, atom B, the electronic, like the cloud distribution is symmetrical, equal on all sides. But once atom A has, like, in a particular instant, if it has a dipole, if it's got like electron cloud, you see how positive charge is shifted over here, negative charge is on this side. Now the negative charge is going to repel the electron cloud and attract the positive charge. So there's going to be an induced dipole in atom B. Yeah, and similarly, if it happens on the other side, like if the electron cloud is more dense on the other side, then the positive charge is going to attract the electron cloud and it's going to be on the other side. Okay, so this is how London forces work. So there's a few more additional notes about this, just like fun stuff, trivia type thing. So London forces are the weakest intermolecular forces amongst all the van der Waals forces. Okay, so London or dispersion forces are the weakest, and this is something, as I mentioned earlier, these forces are present in all of the molecules present in the universe.
It's 4 o'clock.
This is like a common denominator that is always there. Okay, and there is a trend in the London forces as well. So larger a particle is, like larger molecules or atoms, then you observe more amount of London forces. So there's more dispersion forces amongst larger molecules, and that again, obviously that relates to the polarizability. Okay, so larger molecules are easily polarized, which is why you find yeah, so more dispersion forces in larger molecules. Cool. All right, now using this knowledge, can you guys guess or explain or predict? No, not predict. So one consequence of London or dispersion forces that you can see is amongst halogens. Okay, so what at room temperature, like take at 25 degrees Celsius, what is the state of fluorine?
Gas.
Gas. Okay, what about chlorine?
Gas.
Yes, absolutely, all gases, right? What about bromine?
Liquid.
Liquid. So how do you explain, fluorine is a gas, chlorine is a gas, and bromine being a liquid?
Probably the forces are getting stronger as you move. No, forces are getting weaker as you move down. No, stronger only because the molecule size of the molecule is increasing.
Intermolecular forces.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So size of the molecule is increasing, and just now we have observed that LDF is more in larger molecules, which in turn causes, because Ishita is saying it depends on the position in the periodic table. Now the periodic table is not deciding it. So it's easy, like periodic table is a tool that you use to decide, like trends and all that. It's meant to make it easier for you to figure out the trends. But the actual reason is that, yes, as Sid has mentioned, stronger LDF as the size increases. Yeah. Okay. If you ask the reason, you're not going to say, oh, group, as you go down the group, then melting point, boiling point decreases. You're going to say, due to larger size, LDF is more. LDF is a part of, like, it is an intermolecular attractive force, and hence it's pulling the molecules closer to each other. So bromine is a liquid and chlorine is a gas. Okay. Okay. Then another type of force that you have is dipole forces. Okay, now we just discussed what are dipoles. So dipoles, so basically dipole forces are present in molecules that have a permanent dipole. Wait, before we go forward, Ishita is asking, is iodine a gas at room temperature? What do you guys think? Is iodine a gas at room temperature? Priti is saying no. No, definitely not. See, iodine is even bigger than bromine, na? Matlab, usme the London forces must be a lot more than it is in bromine. So you can observe that iodine is a solid at room temperature. Yeah. So iodine can easily sublimate at room temperature. It is solid, but once you put it on fire, once you heat it, increase its temperature, it can sublimate. But otherwise, if you collect iodine gas, keep it at room temperature, it is definitely a solid. Okay. All right. Now moving on, like no more doubts in this. Dipole forces, obviously, you will find this type of intermolecular forces acting between molecules that have a permanent dipole. As the name suggests, it's like force between one dipole and the other dipole. Now, we discussed what do you mean by dipoles, right? So permanent dipole मतलब you have H and Cl. अगर dipole है मतलब एक side positive charge है, दूसरा side negative charge है. So the negative charge, even though it's a partial negative charge, is always going to attract the positive charge because opposite forces. Okay. So this is it's like, simply put, it's a force between two dipoles. Now coming to the properties, like, okay, so what do we have here? Yeah, so dipoles always have a permanent charge, and it's basically the same. Coming to the properties of this, these are definitely stronger than London forces or dispersion forces. That makes sense, right? Like London forces are temporary dipoles. They're induced in like neutral molecules. But dipole-dipole interactions are introduced between permanent dipoles, which means that they have permanent partial charges on them. So of course, they're going to be stronger than LDF. And the interaction energy in this case is inversely, again, it's inversely proportional to the distance, but it is inversely proportional to, again, it depends on whether it's a stationary molecule or a rotating molecule. So in the case of a stationary molecule, it is inversely proportional to R cube.
What is a stationary molecule and what is a rotating molecule?
Yeah, coming to that. Again, this is like a new thing you guys are coming across. Huh? All right. So in the case of a stationary molecule, it is inversely proportional to R cube. And in the case of a rotating molecule, it is inversely proportional to R power 6. Okay. Now coming to what do you mean by stationary molecule versus rotating molecules? Last time we had discussed what temperature was, remember? Like I mentioned that atoms are always moving. In gas, though, movement is maximum kinetic energy hai. When it comes to liquid, movement is there. They slip and slide against each other, but the velocity is not as much as with gases. And in the case of solid, they're all like rigid, arranged against each other, but it doesn't mean that there's zero movement. They're always like vibrating in their own places. Okay, so when it comes to movement of particles or molecules, there are three main types of motion. Okay, so one is vibrational motion. It knows like where they vibrate with in their own position. And then they have rotational motion. So along with vibrating, they rotate on a particular axis. So they vibrate and then they rotate about an axis. And the third kind of motion is translational motion. So they vibrate, they may rotate, and while vibrating, they may just move in a straight line here and there. Okay, so these are the three different types of motions that molecules have. And as the amount of energy increases, like as you keep heating a molecule, so in solid state, they don't have translational motion. They're not going to move here and there. They just have vibrational motion, maybe rotational motion. And as they go into liquid, vibrational, rotational to hota hi hai, and some amount of translational increases. And as you give it more and more energy, then they eventually get translational motion as well. Okay, so when it comes to dipole-dipole interactions, stationary molecule ka matlab, like if it only has vibrational motion and it's not like changing its translation, matlab, yeah, the distance is changing, so that has nothing to do with it. But if it has rotational motion as well, then then the interaction energy is inversely proportional to R power 6. But if it's a stationary molecule, then it is inversely proportional to r cube. Sid is asking what is r. R is basically the distance between the two particles. So यहाँ पे एक particle है, यहाँ पे एक particle है. So if this is a dipole, this is a dipole, they are going to have some attraction between them. So that depends on the distance between these two molecules. If they're far away from each other, they're going to have less force of attraction. If they're close to each other, they're going to have more force of attraction. Okay. All right. So that's basically the notes about dipole forces. Dipole forces have permanent dipoles. They have partial positive and partial negative charge. So the polar molecules, wherever the partial positive charge is there, is attracted to the part of the other molecule where the partial negative charge is there. Okay, so that particular attractive force is a dipole interaction. This is also inversely proportional to the distance between them, r cube. So stationary polar molecules. So in solids, it's proportional to r cube. And if they're rotating polar molecules, it's proportional to r power 6. Okay. Sanskriti is saying yes. Sanskriti, tell me. Yes, Sanskriti, you've been unmuted. Tell me.
Yes, ma'am. In the screen you're presenting, I can see that the dipole forces between rotating polar molecules is proportional to, I guess it's 1 upon r to the power 4 or 6. I don't know.
Oh, that's 6. The print is a little small. Let me zoom in here.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that.
Okay, now it should be clear. It's r power 6.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Ishita is asking, so there are 2 molecules or more? Yes, Ishita. So all the forces we are discussing right now are intermolecular forces. So intermolecular forces मतलब 2 molecules के बीच में जो force है. It's like inter-college festival या inter-school tournament. मतलब 2 schools के बीच में. If it is intra, then within that molecule. ठीक? Okay. So again, so as I mentioned, LDF is always present in all matter, no matter what kind of substance it is. So in the case of polar molecules, so they've got dipole interaction plus the underlying LDF that is like always there, a common denominator. So if you consider a non-polar substance with a polar substance, non-polar has LDF. This one has LDF plus the dipole interaction. So always, obviously, polar substances like polar substances have more intermolecular forces between each other. Okay, so if I were to compare a non-polar substance with a polar substance, kiska boiling point would be greater, non-polar or polar? So if I can compare a polar substance and non-polar substance, kiska boiling point will be greater, polar or non-polar? Boiling point greater मतलब ज़्यादा energy देना पड़ेगा.
Non-polar.
Non-polar.
क्यों?
हम क्योंकि पोलार के अंदर तो ऑलरेडी मोशन हो रहा है थोड़ा सा.
Non-polar में भी मोशन है. किस केस में you'll have more intermolecular forces? Non-polar or polar?
Polar.
Sid has given the correct answer. Very good. So if polar has a lot more intermolecular forces, किस केस में ज्यादा एनर्जी देना पड़ेगा, नॉन पोलर या पोलर? लिक्विड गैस के बीच में वो तोड़ना पड़ेगा ना इंटरमोलिकुलर फोर्सेस, अगर लिक्विड से गैस बन रहा है तो इन विच केस शुड वी गिव मोर एनर्जी, पोलर और नॉन पोलर? सो जो भी केस में ज्यादा फोर्स है उसमें ज्यादा एनर्जी लगेगा ना टू ब्रेक दैट बॉन्ड. अगर ज्यादा एनर्जी दे रहे हैं मतलब उस सब्सटेंस का बॉइलिंग पॉइंट क्या होगा? विल इट बी मोर और लेस? It's going to be more. So eventually, if you compare a non-polar substance with a polar substance, किसका boiling point ज्यादा होगा? Yes. So polar substance का boiling point will be greater. Correct? या अभी भी कुछ confusion है, कुछ doubt है? Hello? Polar. Cool. Clear? So this is like, these are the kind of questions you're going to get. Like you need to have the understanding behind it. And what I asked was also relatively direct. So you're going to get questions like, again, like if I compare pehle ka example, like if I have, let's say carbon tetrachloride versus chloroform, CCl4 and CHCl3. So in which case am I going to have a greater boiling point? There you need to compare दोनों molecules में क्या है ना. So one is, of course, masses are different, and second, the main thing is the polarity of molecules you need to compare. Now this is the concept that जिसमें भी dipole-dipole interaction है, basically जो भी polar molecules है, उनमें ज्यादा intermolecular forces होगा, which means that they will have a higher boiling point. So there you need to figure out which substance is polar, which substance is non-polar. Okay, so if you're comparing CCl4 and CHCl3, which is polar? CCl4, which is carbon tetrachloride, and CHCl3, which is chloroform.
CHCl3 is polar.
CHCl3 is polar. So which one would have a higher boiling point?
CHCl3 only.
CHCl3 is going to have a higher boiling point. Absolutely. Yeah. So these are the kind of questions you'll be asked. Like you'll be straight out given like some compounds, and you'll be asked questions based on it. Now you need to apply the concept that you have learned. Okay. Okay. So the third type of force. Okay, another thing is London or dispersion force is the weakest kind of force, and obviously like dipole-dipole interaction it's slightly greater than London dispersion force. Not slightly, like it's a lot stronger than London dispersion force. Okay. Now the third type of force is between dipole and induced dipole force. Now can you take a random guess like what you find between, like where do you find these forces? London forces तो neutral molecules में है. Dipole-dipole interaction is the force between two dipoles. Abhi you have dipole and induced dipole. So it's
one will have
dipole.
Permanent dipole and other will have temporary dipole.
Exactly. So एक dipole है और दूसरा induced dipole. मतलब a molecule in which a dipole is induced. So अगर induce करना पड़ा तो दूसरा कौन सा है? दूसरा होगा like something that does not have a polarity, does not have a dipole.
But we can do it with like there's one molecule which is a permanent dipole, and bring a neutral molecule close to it, then also an induced dipole will be formed.
Yes. So that's when this particular kind of force comes into picture. So when you have a dipole and a neutral molecule, something that does not have a permanent dipole, there the neutral is going to have an induced dipole because of the dipole here. Okay. So it's the attractive force between polar molecules having permanent dipole and other molecules lacking permanent dipole. So dipole जिसमें है and the other one is dipole जिसमें नहीं है. So जिसमें भी dipole नहीं है is going to get the dipole induced to it. Okay. So again same mechanism. Permanent dipole में you have a partial positive charge, and you have a partial negative charge, which means that when you get a neutral molecule close to it, then the partial charge is going to induce a dipole to it. So there's a figure, array, says figure missing. Let me just show you how it works. Dipole and induced dipole interaction. There you go. You guys should be able to see now. 1 second. So some people already have mentioned here, like Ishita has mentioned, HCl and Cl molecule. Yes. So if you can see on the screen over here, water is a polar molecule. So oxygen is more electronegative. इसके पास permanent partial negative charge है, और hydrogen के side में there's a permanent partial positive charge. Now, if you bring a neutral molecule near it, like O and O is a neutral non-polar molecule. Now, because this particular oxygen has a permanent, like partial negative charge, this is going to induce a partial positive charge. Again, so all of these forces are acting at a distance of picometers, like they need to be really close to each other. So when an oxygen molecule, like this happens in the case where, dissolved oxygen gas, like if there is dissolved oxygen in water, that's when an oxygen molecule would interact with a water molecule, right? So cases like those, wherever you have a dipole interacting with a non-polar, it's going to induce a dipole in this. So यहाँ पे partial negative है, तो यहाँ पे partial positive induce हो जाएगा, pushing the electron cloud more away from the positive charge. So that's how it works. And if the oxygen molecule was on this side, because there's a positive partial charge, so on the other side you have a partial negative charge, like the electron cloud is attracting this thing. There you go. This is like a more generalized figure. So you have a non-polar molecule, you have a dipole. Now this is going to distort the other neutral molecule and induce a dipole there. Okay. All right, and the properties, again, this is between a dipole and a non-polar, right? So where do you think the strength of this particular force would be? Yeah. So is it going to be stronger than LDF, weaker than LDF, stronger than dipole-dipole, or weaker than dipole-dipole? How do you think this is gonna play out?
Weaker than dipole-dipole, but stronger than dispersion.
Absolutely. Now, dipole-dipole, because of the presence of charges, they're going to have maximum magnitude of forces. And LDF, उसमें कोई charge नहीं है, charge induce करना पड़ता है. So they have, like, they're the weakest of the van der Waals forces. In this case, एक dipole है, दूसरा neutral है. So they are interacting with each other. So that's going to be between the LDF and dipole-dipole interaction. Yes, Sid has also mentioned weaker than dipole-dipole, but stronger than London. Ishita has also mentioned, correct. In this case also, the interaction energy is inversely proportional to R power 6. And the interaction and like the strength, actually, it can be anywhere between LDF and dipole-dipole. It depends on the dipole moment of the polar molecule. तो अगर dipole moment बहुत ज़्यादा है, if it's like HF kind of a case where F is extremely electronegative, so uska so what do you call it? The dipole moment is going to be really large as compared to something like carbon and nitrogen के बीच में, right? So it depends on the dipole moment of the polar molecule कि कितना induce हो सकता है. And the second is neutral molecule में induce होना चाहिए ना. So what decides whether dipole is going to be induced or not? So it also depends on the polarizability of the neutral molecule. Okay. So polarizability, along with that, it also depends on the symmetry and shape of the molecule. Right. And again, in this case also, the overall amount of force, it's a cumulative effect of the LDF that is acting between all of the molecules and the induced dipole interaction. The total amount of forces. Okay. All right. So these are the three main types of intermolecular forces. Any doubts so far, you guys?
Ma'am.
Yes, Mayas.
Ma'am, if we have between H and F, if we
Okay.
consider just H and F molecule, what type of forces would we have?
That goes into the
Ionic or covalent? That
no. That is definitely covalent. Okay, what do you think of HF? Like, is it a polar molecule or a non-polar molecule?
polar.
Or polar molecule may
Very strong.
very strong. Like, what type of intermolecular forces do you see?
Dipole. Dispersion.
Yeah. Huh?
Yes, dispersion forces or dipole.
दोनों में से
H.
कौन सा? Like, which dominates more?
Dipole.
HF में. Dipole interaction, na?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, there's a special case of dipole interaction which comes into picture when the electronegativity difference is really large. So it needs to be so large. We're talking about this force, like this particular kind of force comes into picture only between where you have molecules that have hydrogen and oxygen bonded to each other, or a HN bond or a HF bond. Okay. So HF, like these particular kind of dipole interactions, it's like, as I mentioned earlier, it's like dipole interactions on steroids. The force of attraction is so large that it's almost like forming a real actual bond. Okay. So this type of bonding is called hydrogen bonding because it occurs mainly between hydrogen and another highly electronegative atom. Okay. So this is like a case of a dipole interaction because the principle behind it is same as whatever happens in dipole interaction, but iska magnitude is so large, it is almost like a proper covalent bond. Okay, just that they're not sharing any electrons between them, but it is as strong as a very weak covalent bond.
Okay.
So this particular bonding is called hydrogen bonding, and it is the reason why water is a liquid, why HF is a liquid, and it is the reason why life exists. So a lot of molecules within your human body, like when you take amino acids, when you take the structure of DNA, so a lot of molecules that are found in the body that are building blocks of life are held together because of hydrogen bonds. So you're basically held together by the strength of hydrogen bonds. Okay. So again, some points about hydrogen bonding are: one, it is a specific case of dipole interaction, and it occurs when the difference in electronegativity is extremely large. So it occurs between like HF, HO or HN bonds. So energy of hydrogen bond. Okay, so just to give you a comparison, see, the energy of hydrogen bond varies between 10 to 100 kilojoules per mole. If you compare that to a normal regular dipole interaction, uska energy is somewhere between anywhere between 5 to 20 kilojoules per mole. Okay, so hydrogen bond can go up to 100 kilojoules per mole, whereas dipole-dipole interaction ka maximum range is like 5 to 20 kilojoules per mole. So that is the kind of difference in magnitude that we are working with. Okay, and it's really important, and it like that's the reason, you know, in a lot of you know, what do you call it, biochemical molecules, proteins, nucleic acids, and all of that. Okay. And strength of the hydrogen bond is determined by the Coulombic interaction between lone pair electrons of the electronegative atom and hydrogen atom of the other molecule. So Coulombic interaction is nothing but the electrostatic forces of attraction. Lone pair of electrons, usually you get it, you know, in atoms that have a lot of electrons, like fluorine and oxygen, and nitrogen has like one lone pair of electron. So it's basically the force of attraction between the lone pair of electrons and the hydrogen atom of the other molecule. So this is how hydrogen bonding is represented when you're writing it down. So a proper covalent bond is a solid dash, but hydrogen bonding is represented by a dotted line. So a solid covalent, like a proper covalent bond, is a solid line, and hydrogen bonding is a dashed line. Okay.
Miss, but
All right.
doesn't a dashed line mean it's a weak force?
Yes. So a dashed line, because it is definitely weaker than covalent bonds, weaker than a covalent bond. But among the intermolecular forces, it is the strongest one. Hydrogen bonding may, there's one more concept that is not here, but where it comes into picture is, so there's two more types of hydrogen bonding. So one is intermolecular hydrogen bonding, and the other is intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Can you guess the difference between intermolecular and intramolecular? Yes, Riti.
Intermolecular, Miss, you only mentioned that intermolecular is between two molecules, while intramolecular is between the atoms within a molecule.
Absolutely. So intermolecular hydrogen bonding, hydrogen bonding that is present between two different molecules, and intramolecular hydrogen bonding is if the hydrogen bonding is present between the same molecule itself. Okay. Now, why is inter and intramolecular hydrogen bonding is important? So that also defines, or you know, that also affects the boiling point and boiling point of substances, basically. Okay. I'm just pulling up the molecules that you guys will get to see this in 1 second. So you have two molecules called orthonitrophenol and paranitrophenol. Okay. All right. You don't have to worry about remembering the name now itself. Once we start learning about hydrogen bonding, and once we get to organic chemistry, it's going to be, you know, like it's going to be on the back of your hand. It's going to get easier, I promise. Okay. All right. So O-nitrophenol, so this O stands for ortho, okay, ORTHO. So this is the structure of orthonitrophenol. So you have this NO2 group attached over here. This is a benzene ring. Are you guys familiar with benzene ring? Yes, no? Okay, cool.
Synthetic polymers, that time we were taught in 10th.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Dhriti, like I had forgotten, are you from ICSE or IGCSE?
IG.
IG board, okay, international board, okay. All right. Who all from ICSE board here? Just raise your hand. Ishita and Keravi are from ICSE. Okay. Okay. Arohi has heard of it a lot. Could you explain it? We will study about benzene a lot more when we do organic chemistry. But for now, I just wanted to tell you guys, it's a molecule. It's an organic molecule. Matlab, it's a carbon-based molecule. It's a 6-membered ring structure. So this hexagon that you see, each of these intersecting points is represented by a carbon molecule, and the ring represents that there's like alternating double bonds over here. Okay. All right. ROE ICSE, Taranum from IG. Okay. All right.
It
Cool.
is C6H6, na? Benzene.
Yes. Benzene is C6H6. Yeah.
Done it last year.
So this is the structure of benzene, and nitrophenol ka matlab, like benzene mein you have a NO2 group attached over here and OH group attached over here. Abhi, what did we learn about hydrogen bonding? So if you have in a molecule, if you have a OH bond or a OF bond or a HN bond, then the more electronegative atom will have a partial negative charge, and the less electronegative will have a partial positive charge. So that's what is happening over here. Oxygen being more electronegative, it will have a partial negative charge, and hydrogen being attached to oxygen, to this oxygen, it has a partial positive charge. And this O and this H, like because of how the structure is, they are close to each other, that there is a hydrogen bonding between these two atoms. Okay. Now coming to p-nitrophenol. In this case, this NO2 and OH are on adjacent carbon atoms. But in p-nitrophenol, they are not on adjacent carbon atoms. Like same benzene structure mein, they are located on opposite sides. Tabhi kya ho raha hai? Now you have two different molecules of the p-nitrophenol. तो इस molecule का oxygen और दूसरा molecule का hydrogen के बीच में there is hydrogen bonding. Okay. So in this case, it like both O and H belong to the same molecule. So this is intramolecular hydrogen bonding. And in this case, O and H जिसके बीच में hydrogen bonding है, they belong to different molecules. So this is intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Okay. So now, now if you have O nitrophenol and P nitrophenol, just give me an answer of whether O or P. Kis case mein the boiling point will be higher, O or P? In which case is the boiling point higher? अभी boil करना है मतलब दो like intermolecular forces को overcome करके you need to split them apart. So in which case will you have more intermolecular forces? O or P?
P, because the larger molecule.
Larger, nahi? I mean, both of them are like they have the same number of atoms and everything. So Sid, Keravi, and Dhriti, and Mayas, have you answered yet?
I didn't get it.
Didn't get it? Okay, we'll go over it. So far only Sid, Keravi, and Dhriti have given the correct answer. Arohi, Ishita, and Sanskriti. Listen here. Okay. तो अभी boil करने के लिए क्या करना है हमें? We need to increase the space between two individual particles. Like that's what being a gas is compared to a liquid. So in the case of O, the hydrogen bonding is between the same molecule. Now इसका कोई दूसरा molecule के साथ कोई लेना देना नहीं है. So it only has like the basic LDF present in it, because hydrogen bonding जो भी है, it is happening within the same molecule itself. But if you compare it with P P में क्या हो रहा है? Now this molecule is bonded to this molecule through the hydrogen bonding. So agar if you want to separate each molecule while boiling, if you want to break the bond between these two molecules, you need to overcome this hydrogen bonding. Okay? Which means that compared to O, P is going to take a lot more energy. So if you're giving it a lot more energy, that means you're increasing it to a higher temperature. So basically boiling का मतलब क्या है? Boiling point is basically the temperature at which these particular bonds break and they split into different atoms. Yeah. So that is why in the case of P, this will have a higher boiling point compared to O nitrophenol. Now, this has a clearer this thing. Look at this. So this is continuing, like this particular H is attached by hydrogen bonding to another NO2 group, just like how you see over here. And this O is attached to another molecule's OH group. But in O nitrophenol, it is like everything is kept within the molecule itself. It's not interacting with other molecules. Ishita, slight change. It's not that there is more H2 bonding. It's that it has hydrogen bonding with other molecules. So there's intermolecular hydrogen bonding. But like in O के case में there is only intra. So intermolecular forces तो कम है compared to P. इसलिए okay, hydrogen bonding is the same between both, but intermolecular forces are more in the case of P. Yes. Q. So this is what is hydrogen bonding. So the whole reason why we are studying about all of these different forces is you can see how each of these cases are dependent on different factors, which in turn is deciding कि उसका solubility क्या होगा, उसका boiling point क्या होगा, right? And boiling point is critical for us in in changing their states and changing their phases. Okay, so that's why studying about all these forces is quite important. Okay, all right. Now these are the three what do you call it, intermolecular forces. Any particular doubts in all three of them? Anything that you want to be repeated? If there is nothing, then we'll move forward. Okay. So repulsive forces have discussed. It exists between the electron clouds or the nuclei of two molecules. So nuclei, when there is a temporary dipole induced, when electron cloud has shifted, यहाँ positive charge है, अगर यहाँ पे भी positive charge है, तो repulsive force आएगा. And between two electron clouds, that's going to be a repulsive forces. And again, that's also inversely proportional to the distance, just like every other force out there. It's like gravitational force, electrostatic force, just like magnetic force. Okay. In the case of solids and liquids, molecules are in close contact, which results in increased repulsive interaction. Now, obviously, solid liquid may they are sticking to each other. Now they're already like very close to each other. So compressing का मतलब क्या है? Pressing together. So already if the atoms are close to each other and if you want to press them into one another, their electron clouds are going to repel each other, which is why solids and liquids cannot be compressed. But gases, like there's lots of space between the gas molecules, so you can easily compress them. There's enough forces, they're not going to complain. Thermal energy, okay, this also I had discussed when I was doing the basics itself. Where does thermal energy or temperature of a body come from? Let's see who
Movement
remembers.
of its atoms and molecules, the vibrations and movement of its atoms and molecules.
Yes, absolutely. So it's the movement of the atoms or molecules, motion of its atoms and molecules, particles. So the total thermal energy, or like basically the total energy contained in an kinetic energy, vibration of molecules, correct. So the total thermal energy is directly proportional to the temperature of a substance. So अगर किसी substance का temperature ज़्यादा है, उसका मतलब that particular substance has a lot more energy in it. And if you had to go to the actual definition, it's the measure of the average kinetic energy of the constituent particles. Okay, and kinetic energy is related to motion, is what we discussed. Okay. Intermolecular forces versus thermal interactions. Again, so intermolecular forces keep the molecules together, but thermal energy keeps the molecule apart. Why do you think this is the case? Like, how does it make sense? Yeah. Yes.
Intermolecular forces, most intermolecular forces that we studied are attractive forces. That is why the molecules are attracted to each other. However, thermal interactions, in thermal interaction, molecules vibrate and hit each other, and therefore the force that is created, it pushes them apart.
Absolutely. So thermal energy is basically, it's increasing the motion between them, and if they're moving, of course, they're going to move apart from each other. Yeah. So thermal energy keeps the molecules apart. And can you form the connection, when you're increasing the temperature, what is happening to the intermolecular forces?
They get reduced.
Absolutely, they get reduced because
Thermal
then
energy
thermal
increases.
energy is increasing. Yeah, the space between them is increasing. And when you reduce the temperature, then what is happening?
Intermolecular
forces-
forces
Increase, because
And
you're
thermal
reducing.
energy reduces.
Yeah, and the molecules, like the attractive forces, have a chance to play between each other. Correct. Yeah. So you can see how the thermal energy and the intermolecular forces play out against each other. So if you want to maintain or if you want to figure out the phase of a substance at a particular temperature, you just need to figure out which of the two forces is dominating over the other. If the intermolecular forces are dominating, then it's more likely to go towards the solid side of the spectrum, like solid or liquid ho sakta hai. And if thermal energy is more dominant at that particular temperature, then you know that it's going towards, gas side of the spectrum. Yeah. So in solids, intermolecular forces predominate over the thermal energy, which is why they are all like rigid, highly oriented, closely packed. In liquids, slowly, like one is reducing, the other is increasing. And that's why liquids have some amount of mobility, but at the same time, they're not like extremely apart from each other. And in gases, again, thermal energy dominates over intermolecular forces, which is why they have unrestricted mobility. They can move as they please. Okay. So we have discussed like when the phase changes also, as intermolecular force decreases or increases, thermal energy will either increase or decrease. So they both play off against each other. Here. So here's a small visual. Yeah. Here. Then now coming to the special case of gases. So it is 10 minutes to this thing, right? Sid is asking, what if magnitude of intermolecular force is equal to magnitude of thermal energy? Okay, so one thing you need to be careful of, Sid, like you can't equate force with energy. Like energy is like joules, right? And force is, it's a vector, quantity is vector, it's like measured in newtons. But I guess you mean, thermal energy as in the thermal energy versus the interaction energy due to intermolecular forces. So if they are going to be equal, it's going to be, right in the middle of a spectrum. So you can guess it's going to be in the liquid state. अगर एक बहुत ज्यादा एक बहुत कम है, मतलब it's going to be one of the extremes, either solid or gas, depending on which is more. As you decrease this, this will automatically keep getting increased. Yes, Ishita mentioning they're inversely proportional. Okay. Now, rest of the chapter is going to deal with the gaseous state. Now we know that gases have a really high thermal energy, which is why properties of gases are easily affected by the temperature of that particular gas, and which is what all the gas laws are figuring out. No? Like as you increase the temperature, what is happening to the pressure, what is happening to the volume, and if you keep temperature constant, then what happens, how are pressure and volume changing with each other. So we'll tackle this in the next class. Next class we'll be discussing the different gas laws, and we'll be doing a lot of numericals. Okay. How do you guys like today's class? Like समझ में आया पूरा? अच्छा लगा? Had fun? Cool. You can tell me in case, like, okay, I'm moving too slow or I'm moving too fast. You can give me feedback so that I can adjust based on where you guys are at. Okay, cool. We'll do a few questions. Just a moment. So numericals pura you're going to get based on gas laws only. So abhi tak jo bhi hai, you're not going to get any numericals. You're going to get a lot of what do you call it, theory based question, like a give reason sort of a thing. Like basically what I had asked you guys in class ki kiska boiling point zyada hoga, or they'll tell you so and so substance is a liquid, like ICl is a liquid, but bromine or Cl2 is a gas. Explain why or give reason why. Then in that case you will have to go back and compare their intermolecular forces, dipole-dipole interaction, all of that to give that question. Okay. I'll share the workbook with you guys, the chapter notes, so you can go over the notes of whatever we've done so far. And I will share the workbook also. I'll go over the theory questions, and you guys can start answering questions. And if you have any doubt in the questions, agar kuch nahi ban raha hai, तो you can just ask on the group or you can message me. Okay? Okay. All right. So we'll end the session now, or if there's anything you guys want to discuss, we can do that. You guys have the stage now. What? Yes, end the session, or do you have anything? Yes, Dhriti.
We can
Yeah.
go. That is what I'm asking.
Oh, yeah. If nobody has any questions or anything, if we can end the session here.
Bye, miss.
Okay. Right. Bye bye.